Good morning, you two. Today's foundation learning is all about science again, and today we're going to be looking at the life cycle of a plant. You might want paper and a pencil to make some notes, but there's nothing to write down during the lesson if you don't want to. Afterwards, there are some activities you might want to try, so I hope you enjoy. There are so many different types of plants and flowers in the world. Just have a look at how many flowers I've got in my garden. They're all very different looking. Now, in year one, you had a go at naming the different parts of a plant, and I'm wondering if today you can do the same. So, have a look at my plant here. What do we call this part of it? That's the leaf. What do we call this top part here? This beautiful bit here. That's the flower. Travelling up my plant here, what do I call this tiny little thing here? It's a bud, and that bud will turn into a flower. Travelling down here, what do I call this part here, which holds up my flower and my leaves? What do we call that bit there? That's the stem. Travelling down the plant now to the bottom, and you can't see this bit because it's underneath the soil. But underneath the soil, you'll find the plant's roots. Great job at naming the parts of a flower or a plant. We're going to learn today about how seeds or bulbs become these plants here. We call it the life cycle of a plant, and here's how it begins. It starts with germination, which is where the seed bursts open as long as it's in the right conditions to do so. Next, the seed starts to grow roots, which go in search of water. After that, stems grow towards the sun and tiny leaves form. We call these small plants seedlings. The plant grows taller and more leaves form. Finally, buds appear, which turn into flowers, which contain seeds. Finally, these new seeds are dispersed, so they are spread and replanted either by the wind, or by water, or by exploding, or sometimes animals eat them and excrete them or poo them out in different places, or they get stuck to animals' fur as well. And then the cycle begins again with a new seed being planted. So what does a plant need in order to germinate, in order to begin to grow? Surprisingly, it just needs three things. It needs water, and it will need that its whole life. It needs oxygen to begin to germinate. It needs to be in the right temperature, so not too hot or not too cold. Surprisingly, it doesn't need soil to begin to grow to germinate, but it will need soil later on to get its nutrients from, to keep it healthy. It doesn't need sunlight initially either, but later on it will need the sunlight in order to make its food and to keep it healthy. The plant on the left was grown in the dark. It doesn't look too healthy, does it? Later on, the plant will need CO2 in order to breathe as well. And that's the end of today's lesson. So I hope now you know more about the life cycle of a plant. It's time to go away and complete some activities of your choice. So here are some ideas. The first thing you could do is to write yourself some instructions on how to grow a plant. Another idea would be to go outside and sketch a plant of your choice and label the different parts. Another idea would be to plant your own seeds either in soil or maybe even like this one here in a jar of cotton wool and watch how they grow. Maybe you can make one of these spinners of the life cycle of a plant using 2 paper plates or a template. If you layer them up, you can create a spinner which you can move around to show the different stages of plant growth. And And the final idea is to do a bit of research to find out a bit more about seed dispersal. I'll put a little link for that above the video, and make yourself a little poster about it. Have a wonderful time completing any of the challenges of your choice. Goodbye for now.